Ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary friends, my name is Kat, and this is Moni.
Hey, guys.
And we are your co-hosts. On behalf of the Fake Ass Book Club, a.k.a.
The F.A.B Podcast,
we welcome you aboard the mothership. We are sending you on a non-stop trip directly into the shenanigans of this podcast.
if this is your first time, please listen carefully until the end of this announcement.
However, if you are a frequent flyer, you may skip directly to the show and enjoy. The Fake Ass Book Club has a running time of about 1 hour. We will be ascending to an altitude of whatever cocktails we have available. Also, we most likely will be talking at the speed of roughly 100 miles per minute. When the F.A.B neon sign illuminates, make sure your headphones are plugged in, your devices are charged, and your pearls are properly clutched.
Yes, Lord.
As this podcast contains explicit language, strong opinions, and adult content. Individuals under 18 are not advised to listen and do so at their own risk.
And we would also like to remind you that this is a fake-ass book club. So,
If you're an avid reader, or if you never plan to pick up a book in your life, this is still the podcast for you. The only must is that you show up. To any and all haters aboard, you already know where the emergency exit is.
bye, Felicia.
If this podcast is not for you, we understand. However, tampering with, damaging, or trying to destroy our positive vibes are strictly prohibited by F.A.B bylaws, which clearly state good vibes only. Before takeoff, you will find information about us and this podcast at our website at thefabpodcast.com. We strongly suggest that you follow us across social media and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. If you have any questions or want to reach out, please don't hesitate to email us at thefabpodcast@gmail.com. We know you have a choice in podcasts, and on behalf of the F.A.B Podcast, we would like to thank you for choosing us. So with that, buckle up, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride.
Hey y'all, this is
That is
Moni.
funny.
And this is Kat.
Hey Kat.
And this is the
Fake
Fake
Ass Book Club. Wait, can we both say it or no?
Oh my gosh. Hey guys, this is your girl Moni.
And this is Kat.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Fake Ass Book Club. We are super excited.
Boy, are we.
You guys love that? Who loves that? Because that's what I have to say every single time. But I am excited because listen, you guys, we
I'm
have
waiting for this.
a fantastic book that we're going to talk about today. All right, we've got Alice Walker's Possessing the Secret of Joy. You need like an explosion right there because it's basically, this is a heavy book. And Kat,
Yeah.
do you have a movie statement trailer about
I
this
do.
book? Would you mind blessing us with that real quick?
Here we go. Like to hear it?
Yes.
Don't be fooled by the title. This is not a book full of joy, but rather a heartbreaking tale of seemingly endless misogyny perpetuated by the use of female genital mutilation in Africa and the strength to still have joy.
Well, that was depressing.
But that's what
so
it is.
sad. No, I know, but so like in contrast to my mood today, this book is very somber. So I need to let's take some deep
But
breaths.
once again, this is what our ancestors wanted, like to get us to here to where we could feel joy. It wasn't to continue an unending chain of sorrow.
Never-ending chain of sorrow.
I think our
like it.
mothers had the foresight to know that we would be here with this joy.
Well, I sure hope so. So that's what we're doing today, guys. Before we actually jump into the book, we're going to do a quick dedication. So before we get started, we always like to kind of dedicate our podcast to all 4 of our listeners. You guys, we appreciate you guys.
You guys are great.
I probably know each and every one of you, so shout out to ya. Also, Kat, you know what? I have another dedication, but let's skip to you. Let's skip to yours,
okay.
and then I'll interject.
Yes, I'm dedicating this one to the blameless vulva and dictionaries. In my initial reading of this book, the book is actually itself, Alice Walker dedicates the book to the vulva.
I saw that.
And when I was reading this book, I initially, like back in the 90s when I was a teenager, I had to look up so many of the words in this book that it made me a better person.
Wow.
Because there were so many concepts, especially about my own body, that I had no idea about. So it's definitely dedicated to the vulva and dictionaries.
So vaginas and books.
Yes.
All right. I like it. And so another dedication I want to make is to all of the young, dope people in the world. I mean, I feel like there's so many, like we got Yara Shahidi, Marseille, Martin, Jaden, Smith, Amanda Garman. I mean, there's many more. These are just ones that I know
chick
are
who just
highly...
got cut from the Olympics.
Her, Shikari. Something.
Sure.
She was dope. But yeah, it's basically the generation now really gives me hope for the future. There are some really I feel like it can be easy to focus in all the fuck shit that the young people do, but there are a lot of them out here that really do give me hope. And so I want to use that as a segue right now, you guys, to end our dedication, but also to introduce our special guest today. I want to introduce my special guest, my niece Naya.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to talk about this.
I am so excited too. So when you agreed to come on, I was happy because when Kat and I first read this book, we were about your age, and so us revisiting it X amount of years later, y'all already know we're old. So I mean, I don't know why I'm trying to do that. Yeah. I was just curious to know what a younger person's take was on this book, so we can compare it to how we thought about it, and then also with the contrast of rereading it now as adults. So, all right, where should we even start? I think a nice little synopsis of this book would be in order. Is there something you want to read, or do you want me to find something?
I have something. I have the Amazon breakdown.
Boom, that's all. I have it on the tab. That's the same thing I was gonna read.
Okay.
Or hold on, let me see. Clear your throat, friend.
An American woman struggles with the genital mutilation she endured as a child in Africa, and a New York Times bestseller as compelling as The Color Purple. In Tashi's tribe, the Olinka, young girls undergo female genital mutilation as an initiation into the community. Tasha manages to avoid this fate at first, but when pressed by tribal leaders, she submits. Years later, married and living in America as Evelyn Johnson, Tashi's inner pain emerges as she questions why such a terrifying, disfiguring sacrifice was required. She sorts through the many levels of subjugation with which she has been burdened over the years. In Possessing the Secret of Joy, Alice Walker exposes the abhorrent practice of female genital mutilation in an unforgettable, moving novel.
Oh my God.
And also are we doing spoilers?
I mean, we've been doing them, so I don't see why we should
and also
change
too,
it.
she goes back and kills the lady who did this to her.
Damn, she spoiled the whole thing right now.
I asked, is it okay to spoil? Well, they left that part out.
I thought you meant about
just in general, not the whole. Okay, well that's fine.
Asked.
So that's okay. It's we can tell the story backwards if you want. We can start from the end.
Well, it's non-linear.
It is. That's true. That's true. Okay, wait. So let's talk a little bit about Alice Walker as an author. I mean, she's been
sure.
Alice Walker, I probably was in her. I want to say I'm pretty sure that this was a book that you introduced to me, even though you say that the book you had.
Well, I've had multiple copies of this book because I've reread it multiple times, and it was usually a paperback, but I have a hard copy that I think I stole from you because the stamp is from a library from a place you used to work at. Oh. So I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah.
But initially, probably yes, because I was obsessed with Alice Walker when I was in high school.
Yes,
because I read The Color Purple, and then I read Temple of My Familiar, and then Possessing the Secret of Joy. I never read Meridian, but then I read The Third Life of Grange Copeland, and then her series of short books like Horses Make the Sunset More Beautiful and In Search of Our Mother's Gardens.
Okay, so I've read none of those. I think I read Temple of My Familiar. That was one of her books.
It was deep too.
And that one I probably mostly forgot, just like this one. I mean, I knew that it was, female genital mutilation or FGM.
I had to read it so many times to understand it. Like the first reading of it, I was lost.
See, I give up. I just honestly, it was like, I don't know exactly what's going on. I know it's terrible, but yeah, just to give you a little background on Alice Walker. So she's an American novelist, a short story writer, a poet, and a social activist. And in 1982, she published the novel we just talked about, The Color Purple, and she won the National Book Award for that, and also a Pulitzer Prize for fiction. And all of those books you just named, that's in the little Wikipedia thing. So, boom, Alice Walker. Google her if you've not ever heard of her. I mean, she has poems and everything.
way
so
more
she's
than
pretty,
that.
I mean, I'm talking about, yeah. I mean, it's a whole long thing that I'm not going to read, but she's certified. I mean, she's official out here. So,
She's blue check out here.
she's right. For our one young listener, that was for you. Ting. But okay, so I think, let's see. I mean, this is, you guys, honestly, I feel like I got to do breathing exercises to even talk about this.
That's okay. Take your time, Pastor.
It's so much. So I'm just trying to figure out where we should start.
Sure.
Let's just start with, okay, so I actually did, this is super random. I actually ended up finding an audiobook of this book. This book is so old that it was like there were no like actual ones on a.
It's not Audible.
No, it was like actual tapes, and I had to buy like a tape
cassette
thing.
tapes.
Really?
Yes, because remember
cool, though.
you were at my house. You were like, "Is this a movie?" I was like, "No,
It's
that's
gonna be a movie.
He's right. He was like, "For God, for the love of God, if this is made into a feature film."
To see on film, I don't need to see that.
I feel like it would play out like Beloved did. Like
Yes,
some
it
books
just
don't
did not
need to be
translate.
movies.
Yeah, just look. I wish I could see Naya's face. Did you like Beloved? Let's take a sidebar. Real.
So I
Did you
told
like
you
it?
how I started trying to read that, and I said, "What the heck is this?" Like it was a lot.
It's a lot, and it's
The way it started off was weird to me. Also, like I just couldn't grasp. I guess I don't know. I just wasn't a fan.
Yeah, listen.
How'd you tell
Toni
me
Morrison
older?
is rough.
But let's talk about it. How old were you though when you were trying to read this
This
book?
was last year.
Oh, okay.
So
But still,
That's really
still,
young.
It's
Yeah.
still you know what I mean? Because you're
I tried. I
18,
really did.
like that's.
Yeah.
I mean. Again, I think that's kind of where I was when I first read it too. I mean, I read this book and was kind of like, I mean, yikes.
Okay.
This is heavy. So
yeah.
it's pretty bad.
Off the bat, it's just like
Yes. So I listened to it, and it took me honestly weeks and weeks because life, and then also to get into that space where I could listen to this story be played out, like was like,
it's
oh my
only
God.
288 pages, which is not long, and some of the pages are just one line.
yes.
Yeah.
And I was just like, but they're like powerful at the same time. That one little sentence.
Yeah, and you're like sitting there like, wow, this is
Whoa.
whoa. Yeah, man. So and it's historical fiction. So I mean, I think that this story takes place in partially in Africa, but then partially in the United States.
Yeah.
And it's a fictional place, but I mean the
Lincoln,
the
like
tribe,
she's-
excuse me. Yeah, the
yeah.
tribe, not the place. Africa actually does exist in
Africa's
America,
real people.
both.
Yeah, it's out there.
To be clear, those are real places inside of our objective reality. Meaning the tribe, the place, meaning like the culture that she created was for the book. But it parallels
She did a
real
great
life.
job. Of
It was
that.
very intricate.
Real.
Yeah, very much so. So, did you reread it? Like
Yes.
read it? How long did it take you? Because
Okay. In real life, like in the hours logged, probably about a week.
Right.
I spread it out. So, I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
fake realness, I just finished it today.
Well,
So,
I like
but
it. It's okay.
thank you.
It's all right. What about you, Nye? How long did it take?
So when we were like trying to figure out when I was gonna come, I was
Yes.
I was reading it on the plane, and then I will read it like I'll wake up in the morning and try to read it. It was just
Yeah.
like in different parts, so I have no idea how really long it
Okay.
took. It's a short book though, so
Yeah.
But you need breaks.
And then there would be moments of like characters like I don't want to hear your part right now because I didn't like you at the point, so
Right.
I'll have to go back and read them.
Well, yeah, because that's what, I don't know, have either of you read any of the Game of Thrones books?
Hell
I didn't
no.
know they had books. Honestly.
Yeah, they're based on books. I have not read them. I heard they were
Okay.
fantastic, but no.
So the books were good. I liked the show, and the books were better. And the way the books are written is each chapter is from a different character's POV. And that's how this book is written.
Yeah.
Every chapter is a different character. Oh, because that was the thing, too. Like the different characters, there were a lot of them. There's like
Yes.
Tashi, Olivia, Adam, Benny, Mezzi, Pierre, Lisette, Melisa, who was the murder victim. And
That she spoiled. Soon
and
as we got
more.
up in here.
Like there were a lot of different POVs, which is why it's kind of hard to read.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I think it is not an easy read. I think even just the way the language is sometimes it's not. Even though it's plain language, like it's not like it's overly.
It's conversational, so
But
it's the way people talk, which isn't very coherent. People
Right.
don't really
It
make
was-
an effort to communicate clearly. They communicate what they feel, but it's not necessarily a way to make it understandable to somebody else.
Oh, I do that all
Not
the time.
only that, I feel like I was struggling with the timelines because like
Yeah.
when they were going back, I was like I even had a
Where
text
we
you
at?
like wait a minute, what's the setting
Yeah.
right now? Yeah.
It's challenging because that was the thing too. Is it an easy read? No,
I wouldn't say so.
Both because of it's a very challenging read. It's non-linear, multiple POVs, the vocab, it's poetic in nature, and the subject matter.
Well, and then talk about the dictionary. I mean, like you just said, like you borderline. So that's funny because, Naya, when you were reading the book, did you feel like you knew everything they were talking about?
No, like
how
I'd
many
be
times?
like, context clue is not helping me right now. I
It's
gotta look this up.
Yes, because I mean, not only it's the wording, but it's the concepts even sometimes. So you're like trying to get a grasp for like, okay, wait, what exactly are we doing
Okay,
here?
I actually made a list of all the words I remember having to, because keep in mind, when I read this book the first time, there was no internet. Okay?
Look at her face. It's like, wait, what?
No internet. It's probably, maybe 1995, 96. So there's a rudimentary internet that I don't have access to. That's what's going on at that time and period. So I had to grab the dictionary off the shelf. Some of the stuff wasn't in there. Like some of the stuff I had to dig deep to find out what these words meant. So
I was
first
not that
off,
curious.
Actually, the first word is so funny because I used this book for my junior thesis and had to clear it with my English teacher. And looking back now, it's so funny. She was obviously such a young woman. She, to me, was an adult because I was a child, but this was her first job out of college. She was still a child.
Oh, bless her baby heart. And you're up here like, can I do a book on FGM?
Peace to you, Lisa.
What the hell?
So the first word was misogyny, which I pronounce misogyny.
No,
because if you see the word, I'd never heard the word.
Yeah.
I guess since it's used so much in our generation now, so I'm used
when
to it.
I was coming up, people did not use that word.
No, they sure didn't. I don't think I heard
that wasn't really a concept. So to me, I had to learn that when I was 16, what that word was pronounced, how it was pronounced, and what it meant. So misogyny, vulva, labia, excised, taboo, clitoris, pansexual, infibulated, and just something more friendly, the bobob tree.
Oh, I know now.
But that was my first time hearing about it then. So these were all words that and there were more that sometimes I just ignored because I was tired of looking stuff up.
I think that's what happened to me throughout the whole thing. Like kudos to you guys. We need a hand clap in the background. They actually use, you know what I mean? Because I was just reading it like, I don't
know what's going on.
I actually don't know what's happening. And I know it's bad and I don't like it. And this is terrible.
Just those lists of words though, I was just like thinking like I guess our generation is like, I was just like, we say these, I guess, because everyone tries to be these like advocates for like everything. So
I think that's what I'm saying.
That wasn't
awesome.
that did not exist.
So much more information than we had. You guys have access to so many resources. So, I mean, you could tell y'all are smarter in a lot of ways, because
and more savvy.
Definitely, and just
I guess. I mean, if you want to,
in some ways, you know what I mean, and especially stuff like
the
this.
whole thing was like if I asked a question about like, let's say if I asked my mom like, what's a clitoris, she'd be like, why do you want to know?
My mom would say, look it up if I asked her a word. Yeah,
like, but I would never even ask my mom that. Like, I know it would embarrass her. Like, she never talked to me about sex. But also too, she never talked. Like, no one talked to her about sex.
This is true.
So,
my mom talked to me about it.
My mom,
and gave me books and draw pictures.
The way it was very interesting the way we talked about sex. But I was just like, okay. Oh yeah, so
it's awkward. I mean, for one, it's already an awkward conversation. Let's talk about it with your parents. But I do, my approach has been. I mean, my kids are pretty young, but I've talked to them not the actual
but the scientific.
If they're old enough for questions, you're old enough to talk about it.
I love that
to the point where there's like, oh God, thanks.
It's like,
or
stop.
Just like, okay, yeah, that's weird, but okay, before the hormones and stuff kick in or whatever. So, but I mean, as far as female genital mutilation. I could gather what they were talking about. I'm like, this is terrible. Like, this is really crazy. And even though I might have been more familiar with the actual body parts, because again, like the books and stuff and the pictures that my mom drew, like I was like, yeah, I know, what's where. But in the context of why they would be doing this, it was like totally lost on me. The purpose. Yeah. I'm
Wait,
like,
should we go back a little and explain?
We definitely, yes.
Okay.
Because I was going to say, what is it, right? Like, what are we even talking about?
Because there's different types.
So let's just start where the inciting incident.
Okay.
You say it. How does the book start? I mean,
I would say the inciting incident is that the main character is Tashi. So for anybody who remembers the movie Color Purple, Celie has 2 children, Olivia and Adam, and they are sold to a childless couple who are missionaries that go to Africa and to convert the Olinkan people to Christianity.
Yay. They were so lucky for that. That's super cool. They got a really great opportunity there.
And while they're there, Adam falls in love with one of the Olinkan women, Tashi, who later on goes back to the Olinkan village because even though she escaped, because Olinka was going through a revolution, so they weren't doing the female genital mutilation, which is a combination of either removing the clitoris, the labia majora and minora, and infibulating the vaginal muscles. Because we talked about that from Cola Booth.
We sure did.
Yeah. So it's a weird thing. I mean, it's crazy how common it is. I've met people who've had this done.
I know you have. If I have, it's not something we've talked about.
Sure, because it's a taboo. Oh, actually, that's another word that I learned from this book was taboo.
Yeah.
Like what? I mean, I'd heard it before in the Sade song, but like I was like, I should. Yeah, but I was like, I didn't know the definition, so that was one of the words I actually had to look up to. It's like, what's a taboo? It's like it's a great board game, but it's also just something.
I had never heard of it though. So I had never heard about women getting this done till my aunt like brought it to my attention, and I was like, huh? Like
I'm that aunt. You're welcome.
I was just like,
it's like girls.
I was in shock. I was looking it up. Like I Googled it all to figure out what was going on. Like I just didn't know it was a thing. I was terrified.
And this book gets into the why of it because it's been going on for millennia. And so it's one of those things that's very hard to identify why we keep doing this. So the main character, just to give a ABC of what happens in the book, because it is very non-linear.
Yeah, do
so
the
it's
whole
hard
thing, right? And then we can unpack it. Yeah.
So Tashi, although in her childhood, because that's when you're supposed to have FGM done, that's the safest time anyway, if there's any safe way to do it, which there's not. But she was able to escape it when she was younger because her mother converted to Christianity, which doesn't endorse FGM. So points to Christianity. I'm usually kind of hard on it, but it's not, at least for now, because who knows in the future. But her mother didn't have the procedure done, but because there was a revolution going on in her country where she wanted to feel African, she actually selectively had the clitorectomy and the infibulation done to her. It almost killed her, but it didn't. But it also made sex almost impossible for her. And it also led to the mental retardation of her son because he didn't have enough of a pathway to be born, and it dented his brain. And it ultimately made her insane and led her to kill the person who did the procedure to her. She went back to Africa. She moves to America. She's trying to live her life for a while. She goes back to Africa, finds the woman who did this to her, who's being celebrated as a national hero, and then murders her in her bed, and then stands trial for it and is ultimately executed by the state for killing this woman. That's just that took me forever to figure out.
Because again, we keep pointing out, it's not a story that happens in a linear fashion. So I do think when you're reading it, it's like you're trying to put together like when certain things happen.
I was so confused.
Even with the names, because even at first, I remember the first time when I read it, I was like, who is Evelyn? You know what I mean? Tashi Evelyn. But I guess, but then it's like they refer to her, I think when she's in America, because there's this dual consciousness when she's there, I suppose, she's still African, but she's in America. So it kind of gives you an indication of where her mind frame is when she's in that place versus when she's just Tashi.
And keep in mind, she loves America.
Yeah, she does. She does. She was like, this is, it's pretty fantastic.
Because she gets pissed when she finds out like America had actually started doing it too.
I know. It was some...
It was a white lady who had it's all over the place. It's hard to figure out where to start.
Okay, so let's just start with some themes, like some of the things that happened in the book that we wanted to talk about. So I almost kind of feel like we should start with you, Naya, because
my thing that I was really focusing on while reading the book was like this Black diaspora that I was always like going back and forth, because I just felt like that she was always just in the middle of wanting to be African but also wanting to be a Black American, and I felt like she struggled with that a little bit, in my opinion. And so that's what I wanted to.
You didn't have to couch it in your opinion. That was right.
That it's 100% again. Like, and I think that's probably why when she was in America, she had that. You know, the chapter is starting off with her Evelyn.
Cause sometimes it was Mrs. Evelyn Johnson.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like
look at the top and be like, okay, this is kind of like a different tone, I guess.
Exactly. So it kind of gives you an indication for like where this person is kind of going.
Yeah.
But I do think that she felt like that because I think that has to be hard. I mean, as a person who grew up largely without any kind of African culture, you know what I mean? Like I don't even really know what that means 100% because technically our culture is something. It's a subculture, which is now kind of pop culture, parts of it.
Definitely
but
pop culture.
Now, but for the most part, like there's not this struggle to feel African per se. Like I do like learning about, but Africa's such a huge continent, and then it's like, well, like where do you even start with that?
Well, and plus Africans will let you know in a minute you're not African.
100%. I mean, which you're right, I ain't. So African American to me really isn't something that
it's a misnomer.
It is. It's like you could just say Black because at this point, it's a lot of different things. So, and I think when you're saying African, it's I have friends who are African who live in America. Like to me, you seem like they seem like an African American. So, I do.
They have knowledge of Africa.
Actual knowledge. The place.
I had an African friend take me to the Black Panther movie to let me know like if any of the stuff is really African. Like, because I was like, I'm not gonna know.
And sidebar, from what I understand, they did a really fantastic job.
Like,
my African friends are like, listen, they went hard. Like, this was pretty accurate.
Yeah, but I mean, when you look into, like, because I actually did buy Black Panther so I could get the behind-the-scenes stuff, they went to Africa.
Which they should. I mean, if you're going to do that, why not make it accurate? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I do think that there was that duality there and that she did struggle with that because part of you wants to be connected to what makes you who you think you are, because a question I kept asking myself is how much of who you are is what's reflected back to you. You know what I mean? Around you in your environment.
Yeah.
You know,
I would say a lot about that.
I would too. You know what I mean? Like, that I'm
because there's always this thing about nurture versus nature, but it's both.
It's 100% both.
You don't live in a vacuum.
No. Right. And I think too, not for nothing, you are always trying to get to a place where so even if it's just like as simple as I'm a woman, like there's certain ideals that get associated with being a woman that you feel like I got to hit these marks to be considered a woman. You know what I mean? And when you're not hitting those marks, you start to question your womanhood, or you be like, well, if I can't have kids, does that make me a woman? If if I'm not a mom, or if if I don't take joy in dusting, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
Am I woman enough?
Right, am I woman enough? I don't like wiping asses. Like, does that make what kind of woman am I? You know what I mean? So I do think that sometimes, you get these titles, whether it's, African or you're from these places that you think you're supposed to be hitting these benchmarks. And I suspect that's what made her feel like she had to go back because it's like, if I'm African.
I feel like that was her, her point to like get the procedure done. And I was just like, no.
Can we go to the front of the book, which is an allegory about the Panther Lara?
Oh yeah, that was kind of interesting there.
It was because it was sort of an African Narcissus tale. So are we familiar with the story of Narcissus?
Yeah, the Greek mythology.
The Greek mythology. That's where we get the term narcissism. Oh, and he was like a Greek god who was so in love with himself that he
drowned, didn't he?
Yeah, because he was like, I love
this.
He
was
so
like,
much.
Look at me.
Yeah, and so
fantastic.
The first story in the book is about a panther who finally falls in love with herself, and then at the end kisses her reflection to the bottom. So to me, it was just an African Narcissus tale, and it's crazy because finally I was able to piece that together. I never put it together with the larger story when I was younger, even though
super separate.
What is this?
Yeah,
but it was Tashi explaining being so in love with her African self that she sacrificed the gain she got from white colonialism to be a part of that original Africanness, and it destroyed her.
I looked at it as a totally different way.
Okay, I want to hear yours.
Yeah, what did you think?
So when she was telling the story about that, I'm thinking, since I think this was solely about her marriage with Adam and how she felt like apart from you know, the little thing that they had going on, and she was trying to find herself again and like kind of separate herself from them. That's what I was thinking. Like,
Wow.
yeah.
That was not, I mean, it could be too, though.
Because
I mean,
honestly, when I first read it, that was one of the parts of the book that bothered me the most. Was the fact that they just completely normalized Adam's extramarital affair.
I know, Naya was so mad.
I was like, man, I don't know, like Adam sucks. That's what I this is whack.
Because he was so cool about it, and it was making her insane.
Like,
you already know she's fragile.
I was just like, Adam is the worst to me. Like, I will get mad on his point of view sometimes because I'm like,
I'm sorry. Let's back up for the listeners who haven't read the book. Adam has an extramarital affair with a French woman named Lisette while he's married to Tasha.
It was his friend. They were just friends.
They were just talking. He would just go over there and just
He had a fuck
it.
buddy in France that he visited twice a year and had a baby with. Around the same time he had a baby with his wife. Naya's face right now is how I remember reading this and it's like, why is everybody so cool with this?
It was way too
combo. He can do what he wants.
Like, I was like, they just kind of skipped over it to me.
Because Lisette actually wrote letters to Tashi because he talked about, that's what I didn't like either. Let's get real for a second. I'm half in the bag. So I had an ex who talked about me to his side piece. I didn't like it.
Disrespectful.
I didn't like it.
Ruthless,
why am I even coming up? I mean,
to the point they talk so much that I found out about the relationship because of the side piece's husband when he found their correspondence.
Hold up, let's talk about. We don't even need this.
He learned. He knew so much about me from their correspondences that he knew me. Like it's
like you had this podcast for your whole life.
He was able to find me through their correspondences talking about me. And so to me, it's very, but
it's triggering.
I read this book before that happened to me.
It's like a
and I still hated it then. And
I didn't like it then and I don't like it now. But it was... At least the bitch lived overseas.
Right, that does help. It's like there's some
it wasn't like, because this chick lived in my hood, but like at least you had a French bitch, you know?
That's true, that you didn't ever have to worry about running into it your spin class or whatever.
So let's roll that back to why in the book it's so nonchalant. Adam talking to his French mistress about his literally African-American wife who is having serious psychological breakdowns because of the genital mutilation that was done to her.
Think about how much fun she wasn't. She's probably really boring. And really, you know what I mean?
It sounds like she was not boring. But
in the sense of like, oh
tiring.
My God, yes, like I'm exhausted.
I'm sorry, am I yelling?
I'm exhausted by you. I don't know. I'm having a great time.
I feel like I was yelling.
But no, I just feel like it's probably one of those things where it's kind of like when you get pregnant, like why a lot of women get cheated on, right? Like it's like actually those aren't really great comparisons, but I know that does happen. As far as just like when there's something happening that's out of your control, that's only happening to the person that you're with. You know what I mean? Like, I think it can make you, it can be isolating.
I'm no expect from her, though. Like, she went through all of this and supposed to be like, he was like, she's not the same, basically.
That's what I mean. Like, there's
to be like.
Well, that was what was interesting about Tashi is with Adam, he had sexual experiences with her before she was genitally mutilated and after.
Not the eye roll.
It was hard.
Eyes actually hit the occipital bone, which is in the back of your head, and came back forward.
Interesting because the way genital mutilation is set up to work is that you're not supposed to have any sexual experiences before you've had the bath.
Right.
So because your vulva is unclean, dirty, masculine,
so nasty.
It needs to be excised.
Right. Gross.
So what kind of interesting about Tashi, this fictional character, was that she had sexual experiences before she had the bath, but still chose to have the bath, which for American women as ourselves is very hard to understand. Because when I first read the book, I was like, why would you do it? One of the biggest things in the book is the scene where Olivia, and we all remember Olivia from Color Purple. It's like I named her Olivia. She got old eyes, so I named her Olivia. So Olivia is begging her. Olivia, the teenager, is or young woman, is begging Tashi, who's sitting on top of a donkey feeling regal. Is begging her, please don't do this. This is going to destroy you. Don't do this thing. And Tashi spits on the ground at Olivia's feet and calls her the white man's wedge. And basically says, this is my African femininity. And here you are with your stupid Western dress on.
Right.
Like redder.
With motherfucking scalloped bottoms. With your stupid ass collar.
And your dumb hair.
Right.
And you're trying to talk me out of this thing, but it was... white listeners out there, you're not wrong about everything. Because to me, this was about these colonized Africans who wanted to exert their Africanness. And this is a tradition that went back millennia. Like one of the characters said, like they believe that Cleopatra and Nefertiti were circumcised.
Is that true?
There's enough evidence to support it because Cleopatra, we know about the Caesarean section. That's what it's still called now.
Yeah.
Caesarean means son of Caesar. When Cleopatra had Caesar's son, it had to be delivered via Caesarean. Cleopatra, in letters that were found from Roman people, like back in that era, she was a very tiny woman. So let's say she had been infibulated, circumcised, she wouldn't have been able to safely give birth to Caesar's son. And there is enough evidence that back then in Egypt, there was enough technology. She would have had Caesarean was named after that procedure, son of Caesar. So there is some evidence to support that. We don't know, though.
Could be, yeah.
There's no way to really know, but there is some evidence to support it. So it's when they talk about taboo, this is something that's been going on for so long, nobody questions it anymore.
Right. And then sometimes you don't even know why you're doing it. Don't you feel like some
traditions
just happen
and because Moni hates Rick and Morty, I love it.
Hates. That I didn't say hate.
But Rick, that was a quote, and he was like, traditions are usually an idiot thing. Like a lot of times we don't really think about the traditions we do. Some of them are good. Like I like the happy birthday song. That's a tradition. It's a weird tradition if you think about it in a vacuum, if you've never seen it before. It's like, we're going to light this cake on fire and sing. It's weird.
And then blow candles out. And it's like, what now? What? Yeah.
We don't think twice about it. We've seen it our whole life. But it's funny seeing it through fresh eyes. Like if you ever see a small baby.
Oh, it is cute. They're looking like, what the hell is going on here?
I've eaten a lot of meals and we never set it on fire.
Right, and everybody's looking at me.
It's like a lot of times kids cry.
It's intense. It's like, what the hell is going on? Why are we doing this?
We're singing too.
Yes.
And not every culture does. A lot of cultures don't even celebrate birthdays. Yeah, so it's one of those things where and I don't want to make it seem like traditions are, because I like traditions. But
it's just that some of them are toxic and some of them don't serve any real purpose. And I don't think that you're
weird.
Yeah, you're not doing yourself any favor as a culture when you don't kind of like really know why you're doing certain things or reevaluating if it still makes sense now, because there's still a way to honor your history and your traditions without necessarily participating in them. But because
growing up in the church doing communion,
oh my God,
like, this is kind of creepy. This song is scaring me.
There's a lot of blood.
I know it was a blood.
It's like we're singing a song about it. This feels
about
like
blood, and we're pretending to eat this dead Israelite. I don't know, man.
It's just so strange for me. It feels a little.
Not it.
Again, so customs can be weird, and I think that it is a kind of an interesting way to, because we do talk about white people and all of the things that have happened due to colonialism, etc. Really any of the isms, and all of them can be problematic as hell. But it's like we're always analyzing it from that aspect. But of course, any culture is going to have its own issues and its own toxicity that exists within it. So
that's the thing too, because for our white listeners, of course, you got it right about FGM, but wrong about a lot of other stuff. That's what makes it hard. Yeah. Because it is hard to side with the quote unquote white man on this one when they've been wrong about so much other stuff about Africa.
Right, true that. Right.
But they're not wrong about this.
It's like, that's pretty bad.
Like, we should not be doing this to children.
And because, I even was looking up, like, is there any medical reason why you would do, you know what I'm saying? saying a female,
all.
and there's nothing. I couldn't find anything. This is why I had a medical journal pulled up earlier, and it was like a gross penis on there with some kind of abscess or something.
Oh, that's what that. I
was
just
like,
thought you liked looking at penises.
No, especially not that.
I thought you like looking at weird penises.
No, it was like.
Okay.
But I was looking up. It was a medical journal, Missouri Medicine, and I was kind of like trying to, because somebody could say, on the other hand, like men get circumcised, like there's a piece of meat extracted or excised from their penis. And so I'm reading this.
But we're just used to that too.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So is it cool?
That.
Right.
Yeah,
like, is it cool or is it not?
We've talked about this before. I now regret having that done to my son. Like, it's a hard thing to, he doesn't care. But like, if I know what I know now, it's one of those things. Listen,
like when they choose.
When the doctor came in to be like, "Hey, do you want to have him circumcised?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And
just push the baby out.
Right.
I don't care what you do.
I want him to have a normal penis. Like, that's all it is. Like, I don't want him to be made fun of or to feel like less than. But now looking back, like, you do lose a certain amount of sensitivity. Of course, you might have to take extra steps to clean it, but like we have.
The only thing I was thinking.
Lots of hot and cold. He has good hygiene habits. You just need hot and cold running water. We have that. You should be fine.
You should be fine. You know what? I don't.
They did do like different studies about how maybe it can help with reduce the transmission of AIDS.
And
because that was, I made a list of the themes because that was one of the themes of the book. It wasn't featured as heavily as FGM, but I felt like
circumcision in general.
Well, I put the major themes were white supremacy, misogyny, AIDS, and colonialism.
I love how white supremacy always makes
it in every episode. It's so weird.
It's so played out. I hate white supremacy.
I don't like
the idea of it is whack.
I don't like it.
Dumb.
It's played.
But AIDS was a big part of it.
Yeah, it was too. Yeah,
and because it's another taboo.
Yeah,
like people,
especially at that time. I mean, especially
it was
when
like
she was
this
writing
is
the book.
80s. Yeah, this is like
80s and
prime
90s.
time of it.
It was.
Well, so I put FGM for relevant themes. Obviously, patriarchy, ritualized cultural practices, and then just female subjugation in general, like due to that, because that's basically, that's one of the themes that I can't wait to talk about because.
Boy, is it everywhere.
Tool, right? So, like, because you talked about what does it mean, like to be circumcised when you're a female, but why? You know what I mean? Like that's the part that I'm always like, so why?
Apparently, it has something to do with termites. I don't know.
Happen? I know, right? It was so weird. The story they use. It's like, yes, the termite hill.
But things go back so far.
Yeah, it's just a story that gets passed on again, and it ends up just never being questioned.
Well, that was the thing too. When she brought up the Peter pumpkin eater. Had a wife but couldn't keep her.
That is
placed her in a pumpkin shell, and there he kept her very well. Like, I have that complete memory. It's a part of me.
Why should it be too? I mean, all the things that I need to remember, that's one.
Yep,
that is in there.
Really bad.
In your brain.
But basically meaning like I'll get you pregnant and you can't leave the house. You're trapped inside your own body. And just how like, why is there this need though? What do you guys think that comes from? Like, why do you think it's so important for
Naya,
men?
where does that come from?
I need you to break down to me all of the many reasons why men decide, like, hey, this is going to be what happens, right? We're going to cut off your genitalia.
Like, I don't know who left them in charge, though. Like, and what is
they can beat us up. I mean, I feel like that ends up being the, like, at the end of the day, they can overpower you. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I always think about religion when I think of it.
Ooh, do tell.
Just about how they... It's basically just white men just be like, okay, this is how you're supposed to do it. And everyone was like, all right. That's how I view it. Like, they were just like, we're going to be in charge. And
you guys are just here for the ride.
Yeah.
And then I would even venture to add to that just men in general. Because even if I wasn't black.
Oh, yeah.
Any kind of woman that I am.
Men should,
right.
White men. The quote unquote white man.
The man. Right.
Because once again, I will say it every single time. I do not accept the concept of whiteness.
Right. And then we can, because which episode did you go on?
I feel like I say it all the time.
But there was a really in-depth one. Maybe we'll put that in the notes. If you're really interested in Kat's take on whiteness, we'll figure it out.
I feel like it's a complete fallacy.
Yeah. And for the most part it is, but I think what's not is that men in general historically over centuries and just since time there's always been this need to like I really
take
feel like a woman's sexuality away from her.
But
you know
I just
what I mean?
I because I don't know where this comes from though. Like I can only interpret what I think, but it's just like it's weird.
It's super weird.
Like, huh? If you come from women, and now it's just like, yeah, we're gonna tell you what to do though, but you come from a woman.
It's basically because I mean, maybe some of it is because it's one of the things that they feel the most helpless toward. You know what I mean? Like if you think about,
I think I had a quote about this. Hold on, let me find it.
Okay, while you're finding it, yeah. But I think it's one of the things that they don't feel like they're prepared to like really be up against. You know what I'm saying? Just how you feel being with a woman, maybe. Just kind of like the pleasure that you get being with a woman. Like even if so, like say your vice is, I don't know, drugs, you can go to rehab. I don't know. I mean, people get addicted to sex too, but I just feel like it's one of those things where they understand the power. Like we create life, in our bodies, and that's a really powerful thing. And then, it's like we have this thing that they want. So it's like,
here it is.
You have to block.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I never thought about it that way.
Here, okay,
No.
this
So
is a
you
quote
want to
from
control it because you don't want anybody else to have access to it either.
Okay.
You know?
It's,
I mean, but you help the process. I mean, but
I need to control
in a
this thing
way.
right now. I need to.
And not to say that there aren't women who want to control men as well. Like
Well,
it goes
obviously,
both
but
ways.
we're talking about like we're just talking
It's
about
one of the things
this
I
in
liked from
particular.
Game of Thrones, where it's like I don't want to spin the wheel. I want to break the wheel. Like let's stop this domination.
It doesn't have to
of
be
each other.
right.
But on page 182 of Possessing the Secret of Joy, I believe this was one of Pierre's chapters.
I liked him.
And Pierre was the product of Adam and Lisette, his wife's mistress, who ironically was wildly intelligent.
Yeah, he was.
And
Yes, Maya, is there
compared
something you
to
wanted to add?
his American
Chuckling.
brother who was... I know it's not popular to use this term anymore.
Don't say it.
But it's what she uses in the book because it's not a
say it in quotes.
pejorative.
No, it's not. But say it in quotes so that we're not. I don't want hate mail.
I don't either.
From any of our three
but
listeners.
Benny, his brother between Tashi and Adam, was mentally retarded because she didn't have a large enough vaginal opening and it dented his brain.
Well, you said mentally. I think if you put that in front of it,
Yeah,
that
okay.
helps?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think
It's a
you just can't
medical
say it by
term. I'm not
itself.
using it as a pejorative, and he's a
Yeah.
wonderful character in the book.
Well, he's not even real, and we're all protective of him.
Okay.
He's like,
Okay, so here's the
don't
quote.
say it. Yeah.
Man is jealous of women's pleasure, Pierre says after a while, because she does not require him to achieve it. When her outer sex is cut off and she's left with only the smallest inelastic opening through which to receive pleasure, he can believe it is only his penis that can reach her inner parts and give her what she craves. But it is only his lust for her conquest that makes the effort worthwhile. And then it is literally a battle with blood flowing on both sides.
That is
A gem
disgusting.
right there, though. Like what he said, though.
That's 100% what it is. You don't want to feel irrelevant. And I think that when you possess yourself, you know what I mean, and you know how to get to that place without. I don't know why that's so intimidating though, because I think still as a woman, there's still a need. You still, even if you can, even though you can possess the secret of joy, let's just say it's your clit. I can possess that. We can go back to that.
Okay.
But even if you can, it's you still there's still a purpose here. There's still a need or a want for that interaction. So I don't know. I just don't think that it should be that threatening. For a woman to be sexual, that seems really strange
That's
to
a
me.
big deal, though. You can't.
You can't. No, you have to be this perfect. You have to be just a uterus,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Because you
Then
see
we
over
get to the
time,
termites.
Yes.
There's a term where there's you have your thoughts or something for someone has, if you even try to even be open with,
whoever you're dealing with. So explain, you mean if you're dating somebody or something?
not even dating, just I guess if I can just say growing up in our generation, I guess we can say that women being girls want to twerk or something like that. It's just you can never be sexual at all. You're just anything you do is just nope.
There's all this harsh judgment for it or whatever.
Yeah,
So do you wish you could twerk more or no? I'm just playing.
I would like to twerk more.
I'm kidding.
But
I got my twerk class canceled.
I know that was messed up.
But it was just you have to work on eggshells literally just to even be
it goes back kind of to what I was saying before. Like there's this performative thing that happens when you're a woman a lot of the time, or just or any stage. I mean, like whether you're a man or whatever, there are certain things that you feel like if I'm not hitting these benchmarks, so I'm not a wife. I'm not wifey material.
Right.
If the footage of me twerking at the club pops up, or
that kind of stuff.
my dad's gonna look at me differently, or my
getting
male
a
relatives are gonna
train
look
run
at me
on me.
away, or wait,
wow.
what?
Listen,
Wait.
that's what women.
Hold on a
To
second.
me, that is one of the things that men communicate that they're afraid of learning about their girl.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't know what had happened was.
No.
I thought you meant it as like, yeah, if I just wanted to get a train ran on me.
Well,
I'm like,
here's
wait
the
a
thing,
minute.
though.
I mean,
Like,
I guess
if somebody
you
wants
do.
that, though,
If it's consensual,
but
go for
like
it, sis.
to me, if I'm hearing men correctly, that's one of the things they're afraid of learning about someone
It's
they
like
care about.
they want
Not even that, just body count too.
yes,
too. You
That's,
have
like,
to be
stupid.
virgin.
but I mean, a train is a way to get that body count up there.
Oh God.
Not
Not here's how you ladies, if you want to have a train and want to keep the body count down, not because I've done this, but this just came to me.
Down.
So you're having sex with whoever, and then he gets up and he leaves the room, comes back in, same dude, but he has on a hat. Boom, he's number 2. You know what I'm saying? Leaves again, comes on back, puts on the vest. You know what I'm saying? Changes his name up. And he got a mustache on the next time. So I'm just saying that could be a fun thing to do if you ever really wanted a train run. Yeah, like for all of you ladies out there,
It's just the Three Stooges over and over again.
Yeah. So there's a hack for
That's
that.
the best Three Stooges ever.
There you go. Yeah.
But
you got to make that up. We got to make that.
but I get that a lot of times, like when I'm listening to Horrible Decisions,
Oh,
when
man.
they talk about kind of whorephobia, and there is this sort of phobia about the wanton loose woman.
Even in the book, because it was like, oh my God, loose, like your parts got to be.
Oh, like the guy, because Benny, who is the child of Adam and Lisette, was talking about the only woman he was ever really in love with.
Ooh,
because
I like this.
Here's the other thing. That was my first time like ever reading anything from the POV of a bisexual male. Like I'd never read anything.
I had a book that I read was by James Baldwin, Giovanni's Room, when he was bisexual. That was like, I was a freshman. I was like, whoa.
Whoa there.
Whoa there.
Yeah. Oh my
But
gosh.
he was, talking about these things. And he was talking about a woman he was in love with, and she was a pansexual. That was my first time hearing that word ever.
for sure. I don't think I've
And
ever
she
heard.
basically just could come off of anything. Like she'd be riding a horse or like rubbing against a tree.
They're so scared of it. Like, is that the fear? It's like, oh my
think
gosh,
so.
like, I feel so insignificant that
Well,
you
he
can do
said
this
he
thing.
could
That I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to do that
with
for
her
you.
because he would be so dominant with her, she'd dry up. And oh my God.
Naya, I hope
He
that
said
no
that.
one, they're gonna be like, why did you have her on this episode talking about? See, she's a woman. She's 18.
Listen,
She
she's
can-
going into her.
listen.
I wish I had had this in my educational journey when I was going into my freshman year of college. I really felt alone in this knowledge. Like when I was going into college, I was like, I mean, I've read this stuff, I've had these feelings, but at the same time, it's like I still want to be acceptable to my community.
Right. Yeah, that's hard.
it is.
It's hard. It's hard trying to balance, being a sexual
Because
being
my
and a
mom,
young
like my
woman.
mom now
and-
isn't into this. Like I love my mom. I want her to love me and be proud of me. But if I was to tell her, I'd be like, "Look, mom, I feel like she'd be able to bust it up for anybody I want to.
I'm not busted up though.
Whenever I
First
want
of all.
to, like, which isn't often, but if I want to,
Right. What's the problem?
what? I mean, what is all this freedom for?
100%, man.
I don't know.
But again, again, it's like the social construct, like that social kind of. Your womanness is always wrapped up in how much of a virgin you are, how buttoned up you are.
Oh yeah,
how
your virtue is tied to your sexuality.
100%.
I always talk about my first period and how
Oh my
I
God.
cried because I was just like, now I'm a woman, like I will never be a kid again.
It's
and I was
How
hurt
old were
about
you?
that.
Pretty
I was
sad.
11
Okay.
and I was hurt. Like,
Yeah,
I was like,
it's
I feel like I
terrible.
was 11 too. So same.
yeah. So
It was like, damn, you see that? You wipe and you see that, and you're like, fuck.
I was like,
know what
what?
this means.
Like I was hurt because I was like, I felt
It's
like
over.
My innocence was like immediately taken away, and so
Yeah, because I mean, shit gets real when that happens.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
yeah.
there's a lot going on here, so I'm gonna have to manage this.
Yeah.
But yeah,
The only positive thing I ever saw about periods was on Blossom, and Felicia Rashad was the guest star, and she had like a sheet cake, and she used the icing to draw the female organs when she was explaining it to Blossom.
The uterus.
Because Blossom didn't have a mom, so she always visioned
probably because she
Felicia
talked to
Rashad.
Rudy. She talked to Rudy on Women's Day. Because remember when she started her period on the Cosby?
Yes, they made it a positive thing. It's Women's Day. No,
that's
look,
how my
girl.
mom was. She was so excited.
No,
And
there
I
was
like,
nothing. There was no fanfare. It was just like, fuck, now you can get pregnant. God damn it.
Yeah.
You're like,
That was
yeah,
the only
that,
thing
more
I
of
was
that.
like, no.
Oh,
It
my
was
God.
not an
Yeah,
exciting
because
time.
Nana, she wanted to take me out to get lunch or something like that. I was like, no, like don't tell anybody.
Not
this.
no. We're gonna have a period lunch for you.
I was
We're all
like,
gonna be there.
I cried. Like I cried again. And I was like, why? Like stop trying to make this
Then the
a
hormones
thing.
and stuff. Ugh, so terrible.
It
Yeah.
is. And
really
I tried
bad.
to make it as positive I could for my daughter, but at the same time, it's extremely, first off, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's gonna suck like this for a really
Physically.
long time.
Like every month.
So forever, pretty much. For a really long time. Not forever, but
Not forever.
Might as
Because I
well
feel
be.
like I can see the finish line from here.
really.
Yeah, I can see it. It's almost over.
No, it's not. Decades, how is that?
I have more of it in my past than in my future.
Okay, I'll let you have that one.
Thank you.
But the 20 years or so ain't no damn finish line as far as I'm concerned.
I
but
mean, I
anyhow.
plan on living a long time.
Okay. All right. That's fine. I hope you do, actually.
you.
I do like you. I'll keep
You
you
saw
around. I
the
did.
Instagram pics, man. You see my
Oh,
lineage
she was
is
so
out here on
stinking cute.
ellipticals.
Get her out of here. Face. Let's go, grandma.
We gonna be out here.
Oh my gosh.
But that's interesting to me. I would like to. I wish it had been better for you because that's messed up to me that even though we're a generation apart, you had the same kind of feelings that I had. And I would really like the next generations to realize what a miracle and what a blessing and a power it is to have that.
I wish I could look at that way right now, but I don't. Like I hate it, and I still
I
feel
know.
like
Me too.
because I remember my brother was like, "What's wrong with her?" Like,
Right.
I
it's
was like, "What am I now?"
I've
I
now
feel like,
transformed into this person I don't even
I didn't even
recognize.
hit middle school yet. I was like, "No."
And then when it's so unfair too because it wasn't a year later until I got the cramps.
Oh, really? Mine
yeah.
hit instantly.
Oh,
Same.
no.
me out.
I had a whole year where I just had like spotting or whatever. And then at 12, the hammer came down.
Yeah, maybe because mine started at 12. It was like, I got the real one.
I started
pulled up with the real one. I said, oh my God, I hate this a lot.
It's
pretty bad.
It wasn't
But yeah,
great.
I mean-
But to imagine what it would have been like to been infibulated and to have the type of cramps
Dealing with
that
that.
caused.
Oh my God.
Because you don't have a free flow anymore. Like you've completely trapped because we've read multiple books about women who've had this procedure and they have different, they all describe it like you only have a very small opening left for your urine and your menstrual fluid. And it causes like problems with endometriosis.
I wish you could see the way I'm looking at you.
Yeah,
Like,
it causes some major problems. I actually used to give money. I'm poor now, but when I had money, I used to give it to the Fistula Foundation.
oh
which
my
is
God, do not mention fistulas. They are so bad.
I'm sorry, I already did.
You did. Oprah had whole villages. Like, didn't she like have schools and stuff? for women
I
with
used to
fistulas?
give money to the Fistula Foundation, which would help to give money to help correct them, which is a simple medical. It's a simple surgical procedure. And then I love the part that they also gave the women a new dress.
Oh,
To me, that's
yeah,
what
'cause
sold
it's
me on
like-
it. Because I was like, there is nothing like getting a new dress.
Well, and a fistula, for people who don't know what that is just basically an opening between two things that should not be connected. And typically, when you're talking about the down there parts, a lot of times the fistula is between the rectum and the vagina. So you're welcome. So and these women would get banished, like
Yeah, because there
away
would
from
be
the
a
village.
smell.
But you got
Yeah.
me like so. First of all, you
And they talked about that in the book
Yeah,
too,
that's
about
what I
the
was gonna talk
smell.
about, yeah.
No matter how
excised.
much you wash, you could not get rid of it.
and you smell like that, and then like you're in pain. You're not fun to be around. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like again,
smell
and
like
and you were 12 when we did all this to you and got you pregnant too. So I cut you open on your
and
wedding
sold
night
you to
and
some dude,
Yeah,
who had already probably been abusing all his other wives.
Just gross.
It's disgusting.
It's
and
gross.
because like remember we were talking about foot binding. What book was that?
That was Eddie Huang's book.
Was it?
Double Cup Love. Yeah, because we were talking about his grandmother who had the procedure done.
Yes, it's like
because she's in a wheelchair in America.
In a wheelchair, and it's like it's the same kind of like control thing. Like, it's
she mentions foot biting in the book.
Yeah, she does, and it's crazy because it's like there's this dynamic, and of course this isn't like every man, but whoever the fuck is in charge, that's the guy is saying like this is what we need to have happen. We need to wrap these bitches' feet up so they can't go nowhere, and like the smell of it is like turning you on. The fact that I can't hobble away from you.
Not hobble.
Do you know what I mean?
Still wanted fighting.
Like I'm army crawling away with my little bent feet, like trying to get away. It's like, this is right. The fact that you're fighting, the fact that you're in pain,
yeah,
the
but
fact
they
that you're physically
fighting.
You want that. It's like, what the, why? That shit is sick to me. Like, that's the sick part.
But even the tsasunga, which is the made up term that Alice Walker made up for the ceremonial circumcision for women, was saying that when women have babies, they come to her and they're like, sew it back up. Like they want it tighter. She's like, the bitches want it tighter. She said that in the book.
Because it gives you, I mean, kind of like what Cola Booth was talking about. She kept talking about the fact that like every time she would have sex with a man, it was extremely painful, but also she knew that she'd be able to like
she had Digimon.
Yeah, man, you can
because he said
it out with that.
That
right
was so
there,
messed up. Because he said Kimora Leah Simmons' pussy felt like bubble gum.
Maya,
that's what he
plug your ears.
That's what he said to her. That's the other thing too. Where here's the thing.
Gross.
I'm progressive. I'm actually completely in favor of non-monogamy. Actually, if there's two adult people agreeing to it, I don't have a problem with that. I don't like you talking to your other bitch about me.
Ooh,
like I feel like there's another thing. There's enough stuff to talk about in the world that y'all don't need to talk about me.
That is
because so many men try to use their side piece as a
counselor,
therapist.
and she don't give a fuck neither. Because let's just talk about
She's mad right now. She don't bringing it up.
Like Mandy on More of a Decision. She be talking about like, look,
I'm not here for that.
I'm on vacation.
Right. Like, phone a friend. Like this ain't what
player
this
ain't got
is.
time to sit and listen to you whine.
Like we're here for a very specific cause, and let's not pretend like it's BFFs. Like get a counselor. Get
I've
a
had
therapist.
men who tried to do that. Like talk to me about.
No, thank you. No thanks. That's not what we're doing. Because and she's not here to defend herself, so I don't want to hear about that.
I feel like Kanye had that. What was that? Drunken High Girls like top 10. Stop talking about your boyfriend because he is not me.
Yeah, he probably had that.
Hot girls.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
You got to get to the hook for me to know the song. I was waiting. I was like, oh no, I don't know this. I don't know this. I don't know this.
Go through too much bullshit just to talk to these drunken.
It's not ideal. I don't even know why you would want to be talking about the person that you were with.
Because, well, no, you do need to talk about somebody with that. Just not me.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's not the person. Yeah.
I'm not that person.
Why do you want to talk to that person about that? That just seems dumb.
I'm here to get my rocks off too.
Oh my God.
This is so
ew.
I love the Spanish. I love the Spanish mommies because they gave me so not sexy.
Okay, goodbye.
So not sexy.
Back to so women's pleasure just seems to be a problem. It's like if you're getting something out of it, then there's a problem. And maybe it's because, I don't know, I was going to say maybe it's because they don't want to picture like another man being able to.
That's it.
And it's like you have to, but you're having to pretend. Like when I've sewn you up.
I want a sound effect for Naya's eye rolls. To that.
I like it. I like it too. It's basically like you don't want me to have any pleasure somehow. Because by me doing that, it's
well, we said it before. I don't really need you for it.
I don't, but
it's
what's
nice
wrong
though.
With that?
Well,
yeah.
that's how my mom explained sex to me, though. She was like, "It's just gonna be for the man, and you're just gonna be laying there and just not having fun."
And you're gonna get up with a wet butt.
Yeah, that's exactly what she said.
And more or less, I mean, that's about accurate.
That reminds me of an Alice Morrison quote, which is
Alice Morrison.
I'm sorry, Toni Morrison.
Was that a hodgepodge?
Let me go back. This reminds me of a Toni Morrison quote from, I want to say it was Song of Solomon, where she was like, listen, a wet pussy and a dry purse do not match. Like, where she was like, because it's like, okay, if y'all want me to just lay here, like, what am I? It is not crazy to ask that my time is worth something or that I'm
not having a miserable time. Like, this is,
like I'm supposed to either be in a considerable amount of pain for your pleasure,
or even cultures that you don't actually have to be in pain, but they want you to pretend like you are.
Oh,
like
you talking about Japan?
Like that Japanese culture
Yeah.
stuff, like with all the bondage and stuff. That's a whole. We ain't going all there. Naya, plug your ears for this one. But no, but I'm just. I feel like that's a really weird thing. Like when you, because it's like I love young.
That's how all the hentai is.
It's so terrible.
It starts as rape and then like, oh no, I like it.
Right. It's like, oh, I realized. Oh no, the eye roll. That's another sound effect. No. See.
Sorry.
Oh my
Sorry for
gosh.
everyone who's not familiar with hentai, but that's how all hentai works. Or like
Google
anime.
that.
I always make fun. Like both of my kids are into anime, and I will be like, "What are y'all watching?" Like it'll be like, so this anime could just be called Rape School. Like it's just like a lot.
I feel like I've heard you. There's not one called that.
No,
Oh, that's something you made up.
that's something I made up.
Oh, okay, I was like, I thought you said there was
I
one
made
called
a
Rape
song.
School.
I made up a song to it. It was on the things about the rape school.
First of all, wait, was that
It's so legit though. Like 'cause that
Right.
was the thing.
Right.
was that racist though? Because
Yeah, a little bit, but
okay,
but
all right. Dear listener,
but
it
you
sounds like
you thought for a
Kat
second it could
had-
be real.
I did.
we did.
I was like, what's going on?
You know what I'm saying? For our one Japanese listener, I'm not sure if that's offensive or not.
No,
Okay.
seriously, but that's how hentai sound, or a lot of
To
anime
your ears,
sounds.
yes. Okay.
Well, no, that is how hentai is the porn version of anime.
Thank you for saying that because look at eye rolls. See, I feel like,
But there's
Naya.
anime, which is a whole plethora of
oh my
things.
gosh, that's like
But
one
a lot of times I was watching Food Wars or something, and it was supposed to be this cooking school. It was kind of like Top Chef or whatever.
I love Top
but
Chef.
like the food would be so good, the women's clothes would fall off.
I know exactly what you're talking
Thank you.
about.
This is a real
Yeah.
Wait.
But they do that in all animes though, honestly.
Yeah. For
And
real.
that's what I mean. Like there's that thing where there's like, oh my God, there's this schoolgirl, and you know,
I'm so
there's the
innocent, but now I'm
You
like,
start kind of,
yeah, it's very
Yeah.
bizarre.
very R. Kelly
And it's like you
vibes.
want to, but you really want it to be like that. You really want it to be like, but I venture to say there's plenty of men who don't want it to be like that.
I
You know
would
what I'm
hope so.
saying? It's just unfortunate that the men that are in charge somehow are the ones who are like that. I don't know why.
Well,
that is.
I think that
Charge
pours into
somehow.
toxic
Yeah.
masculinity, right? Like because Benny talked about that, where he felt like so much of the way he was approaching sex with this woman he loved was about domination, and it turned her off so much they couldn't even have sex.
Yeah, and yeah. Because it's weird. Like if
When
you're a regular, that's
Yeah.
you don't want that. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't want somebody to be actually miserable.
Yeah.
I did like the part where when Benny showed up, though, she kept throwing rocks at him.
No, that wasn't Benny. That was Pierre.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry. I get him confused.
Pierre. That's
My
okay.
bad.
Yes, because I think you mean Pierre too. From
Pierre
before.
was the one who was in love with the woman
Yeah.
and was dominator. Because actually, we don't learn anything about Benny's sexual life.
No, thank goodness.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
No, don't.
Face is like,
I don't want to hear about it. It was
I mean, I hope. I mean, he's
no.
fictional.
Hopefully he is, but hopefully he had a. It takes me to Miss Pat for some reason. And her
Sure.
brother was it her? Not her brother. Her uncle's sex life that she had to like jumpstart their sexual encounters. Do you remember that?
No.
When they were kids, they used to have to prop up the uncle, and they'd have to attach the female onto his erect penis so that he
Oh
could have
my
sex with.
God, I
You don't
blacked
remember
that out.
You're welcome, Naya, for that one too. So yeah, that happened.
I don't
in real life.
disbelieve you. Like I tell my kids
Ask
when I
Miss
don't
Pat.
remember stuff, I don't disbelieve you. I just don't remember that.
Yeah, man, her and her sisters had to.
I wiped that from the hard drive
no,
for some reason.
that was it will never be wiped because I just thought, how traumatic is that?
That's really
Like
messed
they were
up.
little when that happened too. Yeah, so so I don't know. I picture
That does remind me how, like in Nordic countries, they will, because sex work is legal there, they will prescribe basically sex workers to disabled citizens there, where
Oh.
you like
It's a prescription.
Like Tuesday, that's when the sex worker comes, and
I mean, you
they
know
want
what?
their citizens happy. And you're a disabled person, you're not able to get out there and get some, but you still
Maybe if they did that for more people, there would be less of this. Because when you really think about it in history, the guys who are in charge, they tend to be gross. Like, you know, if you just recount like the king, like just
about how
they're
women how they have
nasty.
to lay on their back because of pregnant. When I learned about that, I said, wow. Well,
Wait, say that again?
like it was one king. The reason why like women lay on their back while giving birth is because he wanted to see.
You know,
Yeah.
that's wild. That is super gross.
I mean, I
because
guess it's not
honestly,
gross
the
to ones-
natural position for childbirth is
Up
squatting.
and down. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they
Give me
usually
some
do.
gravity, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
That's
let the-
wild that it's still that way because of some
creepy
wow.
dude that wanted to see my.
We'll get into that with Sex with Kings. That's coming up.
Yeah, but most of them were disgusting. I can guarantee
Well,
you.
because
And nobody really wanted
no
to
one
actually
was
have sex
checking
with
them.
you.
That's the problem with
The
royalty.
king,
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah, it's too much. Just too much.
Someone needs to tell you. As human beings, we all need to be told no.
It is true because we're sometimes working against our best.
We
interests
are.
and
There's
the
that
interests-
part of yourself where it's like, I'm better than everybody. It's like, no, bitch. Stop. Stop.
Not I'm better than everybody. That's funny because that's very rarely the refrain that it's playing in my mind. So it takes me out when Kat's like, I don't know. It's pretty much my
At
theme
4,
song.
I was pretty sure.
I mean, at 4 probably, maybe I don't know, but
That's what parents are for.
Right, yeah, of course. It's like, yeah, you're cute and everything, but sit the hell down.
Yeah, don't nobody care about
that's
you
not
but
a
me.
great idea. Boom. That's just it. Nobody cares like I do, so please just don't. So, okay, all right. So we've talked about quite a few things here. I almost feel like there's no way to really finish this.
Not really.
It's not because there's so much more. I mean,
I haven't even gotten to the quotes.
I know this is what I'm saying. This needs to be broken up. I thought somehow that we'd be able to do
Is
both.
this going to be part 1? Do we want to end this
We're
now at
gonna
part
have
1?
to. I was hoping to do it all in. It's not possible.
Nah,
And
sign us
so-
off because you're our guest.
Oh my gosh. No, hold on. Don't put her on the spot. Like, look at her. She's like, sorry, what?
Whatever. She's good.
Hold on, though.
She's so poised. Money.
Oh, wait. I
Look
just
at her.
said your whole name. She is. She is. She's precious. She's beautiful. No, but I was basically just going to say, okay, yeah, we can officially stop it here. And then, so yeah, we're going to have to wrap this up because we're running out of time here. Peace.
Bye.
Peace, peace, peace.
Before we go, we must give thanks to our sound engineer, Eric Dizzy from Dorian Keith Media,
To Urban Nerd for providing our music.
Buzz Viral Marketing runs our social media.
And legal services were handled by Trezanae M. Atkins.
If you like what you heard,
Please feel free to join us every Wednesday for another fake-ass book club.
Cheers.
Thank you guys for listening. You can check us out at thefabpodcast.com. Please subscribe, rate, and review our podcast wherever you're listening right now. We want to hear from you. Come put it in our life. Thanks again. And until next time, peace, love, and the Fake Ass Book Club. We out.